Welcome to The Real Build. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder. And today I have a special guest coming from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. He's a top producing real estate agent with Redline Real Estate Group. He has branded himself as the Purple Realtor, which has made him a top 30 realtor on social media worldwide, which is very impressive. He's been featured on top real estate podcasts globally. He's known for his internationally recognized marketing brand. Mike Gerard, thank you so much for coming on The Real Build. How you doing?
Good, man. Thank you so much. What an incredible introduction. It's I'm super excited to collaborate, especially since, we're in the Arte program together and there's not a whole lot of content going on up here in Canada. So it's always nice when I can share a different perspective and a different angle and, spread some value with your awesome audience.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man. And, I'm going to do with you. I've had a few other real estate agents, top producers on, but with you, it's going to be different because you're probably one of the only ones really hitting the social media world by storm. I mean, top 30 in the world is pretty impressive. And then I think you're top 10, right? We're in your country too. So that's really impressive. I want to dive into that and how we can benefit the listener and obviously the customer too. So with that being said, I always get started with asking about everybody's background. So you've done a few things, different things prior, but then to doing real estate. So let's talk about who is Mike Gerard.
Yeah, man, this is always an interesting one. So, the foundation of what I decided to do came from back in university. All growing up, I always thought, because my sister, my dad, all my uncles were all engineers. And I mistakenly thought that, I loved math. I used to draw a lot. I used to do art for my city. And I always thought that I was just going to become an engineer, climb the corporate ladder and, call it a day, be a manager at some point, and that was going to be my life. And, I honestly thought at one point too, that because of my love for cars, I was going to be, in wind tunnels, designing Lamborghinis and all that kind of cool stuff, and quickly realized that that's simply not the reality of engineering in Canada. So I ended up taking 2 degrees in 3 years. I took something called mechanical engineering, as well as technology management and entrepreneurship. And, taking those 2 degrees was an exhaustive effort. It was the most course load that anybody at that university in history has ever done. And all my professors told me, there's no way you're going to pass this. You're going to fail. We'll see you back here next year. And we ended up getting through it. And I came out to Calgary from New Brunswick and got into engineering. And I worked there and had good success as an engineer, which is why a lot of people ask why I left. In my first year, I was recognized as one of the top employees of 60,000 at the company. I was the youngest to get into the engineering management position and start helping lead a team of 750 people. And I got sat down by the managers. So when you get pegged as a top up and coming employee, they say, sit you down with the managers and say, Mike, where would you like to go in the company? We're going to try and fast track your route to getting there. And I said, I like working with people. I love opportunity. I like being creative. I want to work in oil and gas sales. And they said, great, no problem. We'll get you there. All it's going to take is 7 years of technical experience. And there you have it. So I quit 2 days later because I didn't want to be sitting behind a computer dragging pumps on a screen for 7 years and having somebody else depict the acceleration of my career path. So around that same time, I was actually buying my own house. And the realtors on possession day, they they showed up, but one of them showed up, pitch black house, no lights on, handed me the keys, left, no present, no nothing, never heard from them again. And even during the buying process, they were trying to, pigeonhole me into buying properties that I didn't even want. And I got similar feedback from a number of my friends that bought around that same time. So I looked and said, okay, I want to learn sales, marketing, and branding. I'm leaving my corporate job. This seems like it could be a good opportunity because looking at what you guys are doing down there in the States, you're quite innovative and ahead of the curve compared to what we're doing up in here in Canada. So I said, let me take the practices that you guys are doing, bring them up here, learn the business, and there we go. So I got my real estate license. Within the first day becoming a realtor, I was door knocking in -5 in the snow, in the dark, I got 2 listings, 700,000 a piece the first day I was licensed. And then from there, I continued to door knock and use a blend of social media between Instagram to build my personal brand and Facebook for lead generation. And again, became a top producer in my very first year and have grown ever since. And now we're here where I'm launching a new business in January and excited to see where things are heading.
See, and that's an impressive story too to hear. I mean, coming from your original background in engineering and then going into real estate and going all in on it too, like you said, but taking what we do here in the States and doing your research and kind of going and doing a different way of real estate too is pretty cool. And I mean, where I kind of wanted off of that question, what year was it that you decided to get into real estate?
Yeah, so I started April 1st, 2017.
Okay. And then why did you choose real estate over other careers? I know you kind of got into it as far as, dealing with the realtors you did, which I mean, unfortunately, what you said, the story where you walk into a house, it's dark, no, the realtor just tells you to go there, or they actually feed you listings that you don't care about. That actually happens, here too, unfortunately. And I'm big on that too. I'm big on narrowing it down, really asking the right questions and getting, what people actually want out of it, so you're not wasting their time and your time, because we all know time's very valuable, especially with your customers too. So, why did you choose the real estate profession
Great
overall?
question. So I've always been interested in real estate investing. So back in, I think the second year of university, I started reading the typical books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. And I started getting this, lust for the entrepreneurial life. And real estate investing was always weighing heavy on my heart. I really wanted to go down that route. And eventually I still will. But, at the end of the day, I just didn't have the capital or money to do
Mhm.
it. And so I looked, and I also, at the time of quitting engineering, I was actually doing a lot in terms of working with other startups. So along that same time frame, I was actually helping 3 other startups with their businesses. And I realized, a quote really hit me hard. It said, "The man who chases 2 rabbits catches none." And I was that guy. I was working on 4 or 5 different things. I was being very mediocre at all of them, and said, what can I do that I can just dive into all in with my entire effort and focus and try and succeed at? So real estate being a low barrier to entry, it's not that expensive to get into it. It's pretty quick. I did my license in 2.5 months while working full time. And it just seemed like a great opportunity to leverage an industry that I was already passionate about, but do it in a way that let me get really hands-on without a lot of capital. The interesting part is we up here in Calgary are in a 5-year ongoing recession. So when I started in 2017, it was one of the worst times you could ever start, and it's
Mhm.
continued to go down ever since. So it's been really exciting to talk to people that are in, maybe hotter markets and see how they're succeeding, and then come down here and get a perspective from us where only 30% of homes that get listed sell, and see the different dynamic between the two of it. So it was really just exploiting an opportunity to be creative, be myself, and shorten the barrier to entry in the industry that I decided to go into.
So going into that a little bit deeper too. I mean, you going right into real estate your first year, just so people know, and capitalizing as fast as you did and doing as good as you did too, in a soft market, and powering your way and getting your way to a top producer in your area. And how did you go about that? Because I know you started with door knocking and doing certain things, and social media obviously is you're huge, you're big, have a big presence, but you did it out of nowhere. So what made you kind of realize these were the things that you had to do?
Yeah, definitely. So when I got started, I was 24. I was not from this city. So I was young. I was not from
Hmm.
this city, and I had no sphere. And also because of our average price point, all of my friends and people that I did know were too young to buy.
Hmm.
So what I did is I took a step back and said, starting from ground zero, which I truly was, how can I get myself out there and how can I succeed? So I said, if I take a blend of old school boots on the ground, like door knocking and cold calling, and knowing how many people I can get in front of per day because of my own actions, and blend that with new age technology like social media, that's going to be the perfect blend in order to marry it together, in order to get in front of the most amount of people. So what I would do is I would door knock 3 days a week, or no, sorry, 3 hours a day, every day per week. And then what I would do is I would go hard on social media. So I used Instagram in order to build my personal brand and document my journey. That was a key one. I've got a ton of leads from Instagram, not from me doing outbound, but from people direct messaging me, which is not usually the case for a lot of people. And I also got a ton of leads from getting creative on Facebook ads. Now, I can go down an entire rabbit hole on Facebook ads, but the moral of the story is I found out what works. And what works is what nobody else is doing. The problem with a lot of realtors on social media, especially when you look at lead generation, is they're constantly doing the same thing that everybody else is. They're running, just listed, just sold, open house, the worst one in history, which is free home valuation. Like none of those work. And I took a step back and said, as a consumer, if I take off my realtor hat and say, if this ad landed in front of me, would I click on it as a consumer? And more oftentimes than not, what you're going to realize is you wouldn't click on your own ad. You're marketing it because you think that's what people want to see, but intuitively, it's only what realtors want to see. So when I started, I took a step back and said, what would actually provide value to the consumer? So my first year, I think I was 5 months in, I decided, there's new developments going on in my city. And those are always exciting because people want to know what new condos are being built in the city, what new homes, what's coming up, what's a great opportunity. So what I did is I just went to the builders and said, hey, listen, you guys got these pre-sales coming up. What would you do if I could just market it for you ahead of time? They said, sure, of course. If you're going to spend your own money, go ahead and do it. So what I did is I took their marketing, their photos, and I marketed on Facebook ads as the first opportunity to ever see one of these units for sale. And I did $40,000 of commission in 24 hours with a $40 ad. So I continued to work through those efforts and say, how can I actually provide value to the consumer to the point where if I was not a realtor, I too would click on it because it's something that's different that I can't just go find if I look on realtor.com. And by thinking differently and putting myself in the consumer's shoes that nobody else does, that's what really started to help me pick up steam. The final thing that really helped me do what I did was, aside from the personal branding, was the experience I provided. So I always wanted to make sure that whenever I worked with somebody, it was a memorable experience, a positive, memorable experience that they would never forget. So on things like possession, there were many times where I'd have, even if it was a $300,000 condo or a $3 million property, I'd have a sommelier come over and bring wine for the homeowners and 14 of their friends. We'd have a wine and charcuterie night. We'd have a great time hosted by me. But the cool thing is they're high on emotions because they're excited about their new property or the property they just sold. And now I'm hosting a party for all of their friends too. So now I get in front of all of the people that they like, and they get to meet me, the one that's putting on this cool event for them. And that was a great way to be introduced into referrals into a very warm way in a time where emotion is at its highest. So by blending, personal branding, creative lead generation, and the experiences I was providing, that paired with tactical prospecting was basically what sealed the deal.
I have to say, yeah, that's unbelievable too, because you're a rare case to real estate as far as being a realtor. That's for sure. I mean, because your typical real estate agent, I mean, you see they get their closing check and that's it. I mean, they take it. They don't ever talk to the person again. They don't ever reach out to the person. That's it. That's it. And they might ask for a review on, Zillow or something like that. But in this day and age, it's just so powerful. And we'll go into the social media aspect of it and what you did. You really thought outside the box. And it is true because you scroll through Facebook, all you see is pictures of people taking, or even with their personal cameras, they take a picture of a house and just listed or are sold, another one sold, this and that. Like, how is that benefiting the customer? I mean, as a realtor, it might give you a little boost confident, to yourself, but you see this stuff, and that's kind of what I've been doing with a lot of my video is I'm more entertainment and trying to entertain the consumer to keep them watching what I'm doing. But I'm also not doing a pitch to them, because if they really like the product too, they're going to reach out no matter what. So if you have fun with it, because I mean, even with, yeah, they say pull out your camera with your phone and be like, hey, this, I'm going to walk you through the property. This is a house, blah, blah, blah. And you just kind of cringe a little bit. But if you bring entertainment to, and actually showcase the house, me being in construction, I do it all the time with our stuff. And I'm like, hey, this is what we did here. Check out this cabinet. Check this out. This is the update on this one. People love it. And it's something different. And what you're doing is something different too, man. I love it. It's awesome. That's really cool too.
I
Especially
appreciate that.
especially the hosting of I'm going to take a note out of that, the wine hosting too. That's pretty cool. That's something that people should take notes on this for sure, because I mean, and customers that are out there that are listening to this too need to find a realtor like you too. So
I appreciate that, man. But it also comes down to learning your clients. Like,
mhm.
a lot of my clients did love wine, so that's why I did that for them. But I worked with a client, and I kid you not, this is exact word for word what he said. I asked him during the process, what does he like? What would be a great night out for him? Just to learn ahead of time without making it obvious of what I was trying to do. And his response was, I love the greasiest meat lovers pizza I can find and a Bud Light. And that was his response. So if I was like most realtors, which are just so oblivious to anybody else's feelings, and I bought him a bottle of champagne, which is so cliche, he wouldn't have batted an eye at it. It
Mhm.
almost would have been offensive to him, because it would be like, you should know I don't like this. To him, a $5 bottle of champagne is the same as a $500 bottle. Like, he
Mhm.
couldn't care less. But a lot of realtors do it because it makes them feel good, not
Yeah.
the person feel good. They feel like, oh, they can post this on the gram, and suddenly they get all these kudos from their friends. Oh, I want a bottle of champagne. I'll work with you too. It's so stupid. So on possession day, I got this guy the best meat lovers pizza that's known in this city, and I got him 48 pack of Bud Light, and he was in living heaven. So it's all about learning about what your clients appreciate and tailoring your efforts to them, not doing what's cool for the gram or what every realtor is doing. If every other realtor is doing it, it's probably wrong. And I can
Mhm.
tell you that right now. So I've learned to study my clients. I've learned to get to know them on a deeper level. And that's why what I do resonates with them on a much personal level the most.
Well, it's like you just said too. They're doing it for Instagram. You can search the hashtag realtor, hashtag real estate, scroll through it, and you're gonna see what you just said. You just saw. You're gonna see the just sold, or you're gonna see sending my clients this bottle of wine, or stuff like that. Instead of getting personal and actually building that relationship with them. And I always talk about long term relationships and what you just said and the impact of it too. So right off the bat, you're setting the stage. You're learning who these people are. You're asking the right questions. And then after that, after the deal's done, you continue that relationship by getting a guy a pizza and a 48 pack of Bud Light. I mean, I would have loved that. I would have been like, wow, this guy, so it's
Exactly.
awesome to hear, because, and then you maintain after that, because that he's going to remember you. That's another thing. He's going to remember you more than the guy that sent him a bottle of wine or a thank you card, yeah, in the mail, and that's it. And that's chalk it up and ask for a review, and let's move on to the next client. He's going to refer
Exactly.
you to his buddies that he's like, hey man, you believe what this guy, he listened to me, because you're listening. That's the biggest concept of the whole thing. Listen
Entirely.
and communicate. So moving along though, I want to dive right into it with you. As you know, the show's all about delivering value to the customer. Obviously right off the bat, we know that's what you do. I've talked about the process of real estate in the past with a bunch of different realtors, like I told you, and I want to talk different topics with you so that the potential customer can have a better understanding of the social media world and how you're going about it and how to utilize your Facebooks, Instagrams, LinkedIn, rather than doing your typical Zillow search and going off the highest star rated realtor that more than likely force force friends and stuff like that to review them. So let's start with, you are taking a more modern approach. You've said this too. You're taking a more modern approach to an aging industry and redefining the industry standard. So how are you doing this? You've explained it a little bit, so let's go deeper into this.
Yeah, definitely. So we're in a really dynamic time in real estate right now where whether people want to admit it or not, a lot of people don't want to accept this as the truth, is the fact that technology is becoming a big player in the
Mm-hmm.
industry. You've got iBuyers, you've got, companies like EXP, you've got all kinds of different technology companies, Amazon coming in and trying to disrupt the industry. So it's interesting because I feel like back in the day, back before you and I were agents, or back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, we were gatekeepers of information. And people needed us in order to do a transaction. But those days have come and gone, and people don't want to accept that. So what are people looking for now? People are now looking for the best experience. And the better experience you can provide, the better value you're getting perceived as. So why I wanted to take a modern approach, because one, not only is it going to help accelerate me catching up to the technology in the industry, but also it's going to allow me to stay top of mind in the business. So for me, leveraging things like Instagram and Facebook ads, right? Instagram is the best way to stay in touch with your clients, because now I don't constantly need to follow up with my clients because they're all following me and they all converse with me on a weekly basis because they ask me what I'm up to or they see what I'm up to. It's a really unique way to stay in touch and stay top of mind with your clients. And then taking the modern approach to marketing, for example, a lot of realtors get in the industry and say, I want to, put my name on a bus bench, for example. Well, for that same price, you can get in front of tens of thousands of people with targeted Facebook ads and start to generate yourself some damn leads. So I understood the technology was becoming relevant, but not many people were utilizing it to the best of their ability. As all these disruptors coming into the industry, what people need to understand is that your personal brand is everything. Because if you build a strong enough connection with your audience, then it doesn't matter what new tech comes into the business or what new disruptor comes into the business. They want to work with you for you and nothing but that. So they're oblivious to the changes happening to the industry, because when they think real estate, they think you. And that's the most invaluable thing you can ever have, is to be the face of the name, be the $1 million listing for your city where everybody knows you and has that personal connection. They built the like, know, and trust factor, which is what all of us are aiming for on social media. And I saw Instagram as a fantastic opportunity to document the journey. So I was very real, authentic, raw, transparent, vulnerable on my social media. I was sharing stories of when I lost listings. I was sharing wins. I was sharing losses, failures, hard times, good times, to the point where people always felt like they knew me. When I met them in person, they felt like we've been best friends for ages because they knew everything I've been up to. So the beauty of that is twofold. One, you're going to work with the clients that have already built the like, know, and trust factor with you. So when you go to work with them, it's going to be much easier process and a lot more enjoyable as well. The other side of that is that you're not going to work with the people that don't like you. So if there's people that don't like that I swear, or they don't like my bright purple BMW, or they just don't like how I deliver my messages, that's completely okay. Now we don't have to waste time working with each other. So it's almost like natural vetting by putting your true personality out there on social media. And then going back to the Facebook thing, it was ripe for an opportunity because no one up here was running Facebook ads. So to take an approach and say, as a new realtor bootstrapping myself through this business, if I can allocate my funds to scaling, that's going to be the key to my success. So that's exactly what I did. Is I always try to be efficient and effective. But the key to using social media and being deep on that is to use it as a tool, not a toy. A lot of people use social media as a toy and they like to scroll. Here's an interesting thing. I'll admit this on anybody's YouTube channel. I don't follow one realtor from my city. I've got a ton of friends that are realtors on the city. I don't follow one of them on social media. And the reason for that is because comparison is the death of joy. So if you're always comparing yourself to a realtor that just sold the property, just got a listing, and they're high, they're doing well, and you're struggling, that's going to eat away at you. And you're always watching people's stories, trying to see what they're up to. And I just don't care. I want to make sure that I'm getting better every single day. And that's why I use social media. So I use it tactically with intention. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is they use it too freely and they don't go in with a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that when you go in with the plan, that's when you're going to start to see progress.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you just said is huge for every single business. I mean, I take it more towards a construction level too, because what you just said, not pretty much nobody in my city in the construction industry is doing it. And then on top of real estate, I mean, there's a few people that are doing it, but and I highly agree with you too, watching what you just said, watching other realtor stuff and then kind of seeing, okay, they just sold that property, kind of put something in your head and kind of offsets you of what you were originally planning on doing and your strategy on social media too. But every business needs to have a social media plan. I highly agree on it. And especially if you're a realtor, because you're an independent contractor, and if you don't do it, and I mean, you probably follow Gary Vee, everybody does. He said they're all gonna, they're gonna be washed out eventually in the next few years, if not sooner, because so many people are going to social media and and seeing and watching and looking and so on. I mean, my girlfriend's grandma is 89 years old. She has a social media platform or profile on Facebook. I'm like, wow, so it's just, there's so many people on it, and but you also have to have that strategy, like you said, to where and your brand too, and you have to be you. That's the thing. Don't make up who you are. Don't be something that you're not. And like I recently, for example, the power of it, LinkedIn. I've just been posting constant video to LinkedIn. Well, I got a message from a guy. He messaged me he said he wanted to set up a meeting just off a LinkedIn video, no ad, nothing. Just seeing my stuff, seeing my video constantly. It built that trust in him that me being in construction and also being a realtor, he liked that because I see things that a lot of other realtors don't. And that's how I sell myself too, because I know how the houses are built from the ground up. This guy he's looking for a $3 million house and up. So right there just shows you that how powerful it is. And if you're consistent with it too, like you said, it's the sky's the limit, but just be yourself on it.
You not only have to be yourself, but you have to be strategic about it, because here's the problem. Everybody can use social media and everybody tries to use social media. The keyword is try. And they're not doing. And what I mean by that is you look at a lot of real estate agents' social medias and it looks like a homes and land magazine, just listed, open house, just sold, coming soon, new property, price drop. But nobody in history has ever looked at a picture of a just listed property and say, hey, I don't care who the agent is behind that property, but I want them to list my house too. It's never happened, ever. And if that's the case, and we are aware of that, why are you making your social media feed full of these properties and no one gets to know the real you? When you're on Instagram, 70 to 80% of the content on there should be you in the photo. The other 23 to 30% can be listings. If you want to build up credibility, social proof, experience, that's necessary. But people want to work with you, right? So you need to understand that what people want to see is your passions, your hobbies, you giving advice, giving value, tips, tricks, strategies. They want to know you. And so many realtors are failing to execute because they say, oh yeah, I'm on Instagram, and I look at their profile and it's useless.
It's all houses, yeah.
So you need to go in and use it intentionally in a way that's going to get people to want to work with you. No one ever, using Andy Frisella, for example, no one would ever browse. If Andy's profile was literally just pictures of protein and pre-workout and power bars, no one would ever buy anything from him. They would never know who he is. But he's built a brand to the point where people buy his products and services because of him, because people know him. It's the same way with every industry. You look at Gary Vee, Ed Milet, Tom Bilyeu, Jay Shetty. They work with their products and services because of them. And everybody in the real estate industry, for some reason, is so oblivious to this fact that they're not articulating that through their social media. So I put out a ton of YouTube content on my channel, hoping to educate people to the point where they can start to share their message and have people gravitate towards them for being the best version of them.
Well, I think going into that topic too, I think part of the problem is the confidence issue. A lot of them can't get past like hearing their own voice or seeing themselves on video and critiquing themselves. I guarantee there's a lot of realtors trying, but then they rewatch themselves and say, I can't put, and they just don't put it out there. When I finally got past that point to where I just didn't care and I just put it out there, you know, yeah, I'll do my edits and so on and here and there, but I mean, I don't critique at all. I mean, I do the video, and my videos become so much easier to edit because I just shoot it, add my intro at the beginning, add my ending, and that's it. And then launch it and not care. You know, and some of the raw stuff I do gets the most likes. So it's like, you know, because they want and the non-edited stuff, and I just put it out. But some of the stuff, like I said, if you do it right on your phone and you talk, or I've had somebody take my phone and follow me around a house and just record me as I walked and just, you know, talked about the house. There was a recent one and the traction on it too. People like to see that, but that's just me being me. So I think a lot of it too, and is the confidence aspect of it. And I have a guy that works under me right now, and I keep telling him because he's seeing what I'm doing. And he's like, wow, yeah, people are seeing who you are. They're seeing your content. They're actually bringing you up. You know, he's like, I got to get the confidence to do it. I'm like, just do it. And the more you do it, you get confident in yourself. And, you know, you just can't just put it out there. Who cares? Because most of the time, like, you know, people aren't judging you. They're judging themselves anyway. So, you know, they might see it's all in your head. I mean, just put out the stuff and, you know, somebody's going to see it. Somebody's going to like you. Get past that point and just do it. And I finally did that, and it was huge. I mean, you too. I'm sure you went through the same moment where you're just like, who cares? Put it out as much as I can and keep moving forward. You know, that's the thing. So
100%, man.
Yeah. So let's talk about you, your brand. I mean, you're big. Your social media brand is pretty big, and you're big on branding. And you kind of brushed on this a little bit. When did you go all in on social media and why? And then we'll kind of talk about your brand as the Purple Realtor, how that came about, and your car obsession and so on. But let's start with, when did you go all in on social media and why?
I went in the day that I got my license. So my very first photo was the day I got my license, and that was the day I downloaded Instagram. So you can go back, all my original photos are there. I haven't deleted anything. You know, I was posting a photo a day for 600 days in order to get my first 10,000 followers. And I leveraged it simply for efficiency and exposure. You know, again, being an agent with no budget and not knowing anybody in the city, I understood the power of having a free tool at our disposal in order to reach thousands of people. So I leveraged it in that way. I said, you know, if I can share my story and have people gravitate towards me in my own city for free, how can you compete with that?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the main reasons. I just saw an opportunity in order to share my message, connect with local people, and go all in and building my personal brand in a relatable way.
And then as far as you and your personal brand, how did you come up with the Purple Realtor?
Yeah, that's a great question. So back when I got started, again, I've always had a love for cars. They've always been my biggest passion, and still to this day, I'm obsessed with them. And I had a BMW, sorry. And, you know, I knew I wanted to leverage my car in a certain way, but I wanted to do it in a way that would be essentially marketing. So I wanted to wrap the car, but I wanted to do it in a way that stood out, meant something, was tasteful. So when you look at color psychology, purple represents ambition, luxury, and royalty. So with my business, I wanted to provide a luxurious and royal experience regardless of the price point. If you were buying a $300,000 condo or a $3 million, you know, estate, you were going to get the same quality. So I looked at that and said, you know, let's wrap the car. So I wrapped the car, and a lot of people loved it. But what I started realizing within the first 3 months is I started having people from my city that I've never met in my life comment on my photos, say, every time I see the color purple, I think of you. And I said, that is something I have to leverage. If
Boom.
somebody's never met me, and this is happening by multiple people, and they think of me when they see a color, I have to go all in on that. So I changed my Instagram handle to the Purple Realtor, and from there it just blew up. And people really enjoyed it and leveraged that for podcasting and things like that. And ever since, it's been a really advantageous tool. Now that I know that I'm growing and scaling bigger outside of real estate, I realized that I had to change my name back to my name. But for the time being, as a brand new agent, it was a very useful strategy in order to stand out and remain top of mind to a lot of people.
Well, it's the power of brand. I mean, as you know, and that's going in a business too. If you brand yourself, you're going to grow your business. And it took me a little bit to figure that out. I wanted to grow. I wanted to focus on promoting a business, but you actually are the one that's promoting it, because when people follow that brand, and like, for example, say you had a team, well, they're going to go to the Purple Realtor, and then your team's going to fall. The business is going to come, stem off of that too, and grow off of that. So when you finally figure that out, and you create a brand that people are going to remember, like you did, like everybody sees purple. That's awesome. Anybody sees the color purple, they think of you. That's huge. That's a huge
Definitely.
thing, and that's the thing with me, is I'm trying to promote myself as your broker builder, because I'm a real estate broker and a builder, but I put that in people's heads that I know construction too. So when they're looking for a house, it gives them that peace of mind that I can find stuff that a lot of realtors don't, but I also have the connections in the construction industry to get a lot of stuff done quick.
Yeah.
And me personally too, I also can do a lot more than realtors can, and inspections, and I can fix a lot of stuff myself, which I do for my clients, which is huge too. And that's what they all remember. So branding so big, man. And that's awesome what you did too. So let's go into your kind of social media platforms. What social media platforms are best to use, do you think, to get in front of a customer? And then let's go to the customer angle of it too. Where should a customer search to find a realtor? So if there's, for the consumer that's listening.
Great question. So for me, again, maybe I'll take a step back. A lot of people try and do it all.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to the quote, the man who chases two rabbits catches none. If you try and do it all, you're not only going to burn out, but you're going to be very mediocre at all of them. Because if you're actually trying to grow a business, you want to be allocating your time towards income producing activities, which is not social media. Yes, over time, social media will help skyrocket your brand and help build your brand awareness, become top of mind, and have people gravitate towards you. But that's not immediate. So as a new agent, you need to make sure that you're doing the activities that provide immediate results, which is cold calling, door knocking, networking, things like that. So for me, what I did though is using social media, I chose two platforms. I chose Instagram for building my brand and connecting with my audience. I chose Facebook for lead generation. And that's all I did on those two platforms. And that was super effective. Now, what I started doing is leveraging YouTube, because the power of YouTube surpasses a lot of other social media platforms. When you look at Instagram, the post I made today, in a week from today, that post is dead. Nobody's ever going to look at it again, and it's effectively useless. The advantageous aspect of YouTube is the fact that it grows over time if you properly tag it and describe it and write the title. So now I'm actually going a lot heavier on YouTube because I understand the power of its scalability over time. If you create the right content, it's actually like prospecting 24/7 for you. I know an agent up here in Canada, and he did 50 deals in his first year, and almost all of them came from YouTube, because what he did is he went hyper local and he created a ton of YouTube content that was not city specific, it was community and zip code specific. So because Google owns YouTube, YouTube ranks very high when people are searching for things on Google, and YouTube and videos rank at the top. So this guy created a ton of videos that were very specific to communities that he wanted to farm. And because he was the only one doing that, he started getting a ton of leads from it. So now I'm actually diving deep into YouTube. And if you're a realtor watching this, that's an extremely powerful thing that you can go into, because not many people in your city, I guarantee, are looking at it that way. If you're able to become the local authority simply by creating content specific to your farm area, like for me, I'm outranking agents spending $10,000 a month on SEO with free YouTube videos. The power is insane.
Mm-hmm.
But the good aspect of using Instagram is the fact that it is a bit more personal, and a lot of people feel like they can connect to you on a more frequent basis there. So I think it's important to look at what your strong suit is. If you're a good writer, maybe blogging is going to be for you. If you like to take photos and document your journey, maybe Instagram's for you. And it's all about looking at what you are most confident in and what you can go all in with, right? Because everybody's got a different aspect that they feel that they can share. So for other agents, it just depends on what you truly want to share with other people. But for me, it was those two platforms. And now that I understand how to properly leverage YouTube, that's been one of the biggest parts for me, is scaling over time by creating content and providing value.
Yeah, so basically just do something if you're an agent.
Just do something,
Find
right?
one. Yeah.
Some people are more professional and they just want to share, tidbits of advice on LinkedIn. That's super powerful. If you go all in on any social platform, you will see success and
Mm-hmm.
results. But a lot of people, again, if you're better on voice and not that great on video, maybe podcasting's for you, and that's completely okay. Own your space, create a podcast about, Calgary real estate market podcast, whatever you want to do, and go all in and become the knowledge source for your city in real estate on podcast. Look at what your strengths are. Also look at what you enjoy, because if you hate Instagram with a passion, even though it's one of the most relevant, powerful platforms, and you do need some sort of a presence on there, you can dominate a different platform and still get astronomical results. So it doesn't always have to be the cliche platforms that everybody else is exploiting. Look at what you have fun with doing and looking what
Mm-hmm.
you want to do on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. And like I said again, just do something.
Yeah, exactly.
What about if you're the customer? Where do you recommend customers looking for real estate should go? Facebook, Instagram. What do you think?
Yeah. So, looking at the customer journey, I talked to somebody about this a while ago, and it's really neat the angle that they look at. So, one, Facebook reviews are king. So, if you've got a lot of 5-star Facebook reviews, that ranks high as well when people are searching your name or for a realtor in your city. And it gives you a lot of credibility, even sometimes more so than Google reviews now, because everybody's on social media. So, boosting up your Facebook reviews is very strong in terms of helping with your SEO and helping with your credibility and the perception of people coming across you. Now, again, going back to YouTube, this is on the other podcast that I hosted today, we were talking about the fact that when the public sees someone on YouTube, they almost get this wow factor, like you're this creator, like, they perceive it to be such a high status when you're creating content on YouTube. So if you're able to create content on YouTube, I strongly recommend that, because the public's perceived idea of that is so advantageous. And when the public's looking at people and they're searching for an agent, if they find an agent that's providing value for free to the community on a platform like YouTube, that's incredibly powerful. And in order to create a video, you have to know what you're talking about. So I strongly recommend, when a consumer is looking for an agent, look to see if they do have a YouTube presence and what kind of value are they giving on that platform. Because there's a lot to say about putting yourself out there and opening yourself up to the vulnerability of creating video content. But if somebody's willing to take that step out of their comfort zone and
Mm-hmm.
provide value and give back to your community, you better believe that they're going to go hard for you and they're going to give you value as well.
Yeah, because they're actually taking the time to do something too. I mean, it's time out of their day, and a lot of these agents won't do it. They're just doing your typical newspaper advertising or whatnot. And it's it's so, if they're actually delivering the value, like you said, and teaching you what to look for, that's like this show's all about too. And taking that time out of their day and not worried about just putting force feeding ads in front of somebody and just to get the listing or just to make a paycheck. And it's not all about the money. I always say that too. It is truly about helping people. That's what real estate should be. And people could find that out about you. If you're passionate about helping people, they'll see it in your social media, hands down. I mean, with you, they'll see it in your videos because you're helping everybody. You hit all these different topics that, you know, people need to look at, or realtors need to look at too. You're there to help, and you don't have to take the time to do it, but you do it. So that shows a lot about you, what you just said. So that's awesome, man. Great answer to that one. So let's go deeper into this too, because I mean, there's a lot of real estate agents out there, and especially where I'm at. I mean, state of Florida, they always say everybody that moves here becomes a real estate agent. They get their real estate license. So, you know, what should people take notice? So what are you doing, first of all, to stand out from the many real estate agents, and what should people take notice of when choosing a realtor?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, what I'm doing in order to stand out from other agents is, again, showing every aspect of the business, and I'm taking people on a journey. So, you know, what you need to look at, we'll use Instagram, for example, is blending your feed with your stories. The most of my clients come to me from DMing me from my stories because I share the behind the scenes, the raw, uncut footage that everybody wants to see. That's why people love $1 Million Listing. If you look at $1 Million Listing, it's basically showing a glorified version of behind the scenes of the real estate transaction. And that's what people want to see. So for me, I'm basically doing that. I'm showing everybody the good, the bad, the ugly, the surprising, the crazy, every aspect of the behind the scenes of what goes on in real estate. And that really resonates and connects with people. Now, on the feed side of things, again, it's about delivering quality and consistency. So for me, ultimately, I like to collaborate with a lot of local people. I love to share insight, and I like to be vulnerable and authentic. For me, I share my true feelings on Instagram, and people get to know the real me. I'm not just showing the lavish possession gifts, and I'm not just showing when everything's high and you know, amazing and all the goods, and you know, I'm showing the real journey. And I've been able to build such a strong connection with so many people and become an authority in my market using Instagram because they see how real it is. And they see the impact that I'm getting by providing this advice for free to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's really helping stand out. And for others, I think, again, you need to look and see, what are your passions? What are your interests? What do you want to be recognized as? And start to share that message on your social platforms. And a lot of people think that they just want to see all these properties and stuff like that, but they really want to get to know the real you. Whether you be a family guy, every single person has a gift. My gift, a lot of people say, is leadership. There's a lot of people, their gift is comedy. They're just funny people, or they're caring people, or they're charismatic people, or they're thoughtful people. Every single person has a strong gift to offer. Take that, manifest it, and share it on your social, because there's so many people on social media that there's bound to be hundreds of thousands of others that can resonate with exactly what you're doing. Don't go with the grain, go against the grain. Again, every realtor is playing to the same tune in your city, and that makes it a small fish in a big pond. Basically, you want to be a big fish in a small pond. So go against the grain, tap into the niches that you can communicate with. For me, for example, the car community. A lot of people want to get into the luxury car community because it's all high net worth individuals. But a lot of people, when they go to these individuals, they can tell that they just want to get a sale. Cars are my passion. So I talk to them about cars. They know I'm a realtor. It eventually comes up, but I never say, hey, I'm a realtor, you know, let's chat about cars. They get to know. They know when they look me up, they know I'm an agent. It's in your bio. You don't have to pitch yourself. But connect with the communities that you resonate with on a deep, transparent, and personal level, because our conversations are so much more natural. It doesn't look like you're trying to get anything. You know, I had a meeting today. Guys were $200 million. He meets with me whenever I want because he sees that I actually deeply value his time, and we offer each other advice. It's not a one-way street, and I think that's where a lot of people fall short. But tap into the niches that you're passionate about and leverage the gifts that you're given.
No, that's a huge answer right there too, because I mean, most agents or most people in general, they just want, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Come on, give me your list. They don't actually take the time to get to know that person, like we talked about earlier too, and deliver the value prior. Because I mean, when you're with social media too, and we've already talked about this in depth, but it's so important because people get to know you right off the bat. They know who Mike is. They see that you are a car guy. Then even you talking about cars with them rather than bring up, by the way, hey, I'm a realtor. Can I sell your house? Because there's a lot of people that are forceful out there putting mailers in. Hey, I sold this. You get the postcard in your mailbox. I just sold this house next door. Let me sell yours. No, throw it out. It's like, why are you going to sell my house? It's just, come on. And it's so important to just talk to people. I mean, they just want the instant gratification of, all right, I'm just, yeah, give me your house, give me your listing, give me the deal. I mean, around where I'm at too, there's a lot of old school real estate agents, and nothing against calling, listings that are going to expire and so on, but they just pester these people. Pass, call, nonstop, almost till their ear starts bleeding. And they have to say, okay, list my house, and they just give in. But then there's realtors like me and you that are these people are getting to know. We're going to events, we're talking, we're getting out in public, we're actually getting to know people too. And eventually, hey, if they sell their house, they're going to think of you. And they're going to be like, I really like him. I'm going to give him this first shot at it. And then you get the first shot too. So it's huge what you just said, man. That's awesome. Let's talk social media a little bit more. Not that we haven't been talking about the whole time, but you have a big following on social media platforms. How did you get your following as large as it is? And what topics are you discussing on your social channels that clients are interested in, just for the real estate agents out there and also for the consumers if they are searching on social media?
Yeah. So for me, in order to get my first 10,000 followers on Instagram, I posted every day for 600 days, and it was consistency, but the quality came. But it was just a matter of starting and executing. If you go back and you look at some of my first Instagram posts, literally the second and third Instagram posts, the second one was I found a picture of these stairs on Google with motivational quotes on them, and I photoshopped my logo onto it. The third photo was a picture of a fireplace with a TV above, and I photoshopped my logo on top of it. It was pathetic. It's like, you go back and look at it and it's like, why do you even have that still there? But I have it still there so that people can see you have to start somewhere. So for me, it was about being consistent. But again, the way that the following grew was it really resonated. The authentic journey really resonated with other people. A lot of my following is other realtors from around the world, and that's completely okay. That's another thing to go into. A lot of people say, well, I don't want realtors following me. Well, they're the only ones that are going to engage with their content with 10,000 followers, and 9,000 of them are locals in their city. It's just not possible. So it's okay to have a lot of realtors following your journey. They're the ones that resonate with you. But again, I was documenting everything, man. I was showing when I was door knocking. I was showing when I was cold calling at car events, every single thing. But because people wanted to see more of the journey, they followed me because they saw that I was documenting the rise of that journey. And now I'm at the point where I am, which, I'm still just in the infancy, in the beginning, but I get so many people messaging me being like, hey man, I was here from the start. Look how far you've came. I've been around here since you were doing this, and this, and now you're up here doing this. And they've become a part of it. So you want to create a journey on social media that people want to be a part of, and they want to see where it's going. Because if they look at, your last 9 posts, I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I wonder where this guy's going to be in 2 years, 1 year, 5 years from now. They're going to follow you because they want to follow your journey. That's literally what the word means. They want to follow your journey, right? Here's a quality test. Going back to the Facebook ads where I say, okay, take your realtor hat off and say, look at your own ad and say, if you were a public consumer, would you click on that ad? Okay. Instagram, look at your own post and say, if you randomly came across this post, would you follow that person? 9 times out of 10, you wouldn't follow yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just like 9 times out of 10, you wouldn't click on that ad. Nobody's thinking tactically about it, but rationally about it. They're so emotionally deciding that because they're putting this content out there, they're entitled for people to follow them. No, if your content's crap, nobody's going to follow you. It's as simple as that. You're not more entitled to build an audience more than anybody else. So you need to do these quality tests and say, hey, is this post providing enough value to somebody else? Is this post interesting enough or funny enough or quirky enough? Is this something that I would follow too? And if the answer is no, go back and revisit what you're putting out there, right? So that's one of the biggest things that people don't understand is you need to do these quality tests and put yourself in the other person's shoes and say, would you go after that? And not many people do.
Yeah, and that's big too. But people need to get past the whole I'm not getting any likes phase, or I'm not, or the traction thing. Well, Instagram's there's you hear that Instagram doesn't get as much traction anymore because it's so saturated and so on, or you hear that Facebook's the same way. No, that you need to get past that and just post quality stuff, like you said, that's going to deliver value, but also you can document your journey. And by posting the quality stuff too, and constantly posting what you're actually doing, you're documenting your life and you're putting it out there too, but you're openly doing it. Because I mean, there's so many people out there, and it's sad. They just look at the number, like the likes. They just want to see. If they don't get likes, they'll delete the post. And that's like with you, when you said I still have my first post, first thing that came to mind in my mind is all these people that delete their first post, and then they're lessening their numbers a post as their followers increase. And it drives you crazy because they did it. They got like 20,000 followers or something. Half of them probably bought the followers, but even with people with like 5,000 followers, they delete all these posts that they had. I've seen people that had at one point 1,500 posts, and then all of a sudden they got 300. And I'm like, why are you deleting all that stuff? Is it making you look better or something like that? I don't understand it, but people just need to get past that. Post your life, post quality stuff like you are doing. And I mean, that was by you saying, yeah, I still have my first post. It was corny. But I want people to see it. I want people to see because it's who you are. That's where you started.
My first YouTube video is still up there. It's pathetic. I can barely look at the camera. I'm like very quiet, very shy. I can barely deliver a message. I'm looking from side to side the whole time. It's still up there. But here's if people watching this can take one thing away, understand the following. Everybody behind that number matters. I hear so many people say, well, once I get to 10,000 followers, I'll start doing this. Or once I get to $50,000, I'll become this. If you've got 800 followers, 300 followers, you've got 300 people that want to hear from you. And if you're waiting to the point where you've got all these followers, you're basically neglecting the people that are trying to support you today. Every single person behind that number matters. And nobody's treating it that way. They're treating it like a number, just like their likes. You need to treat your audience as if they're expecting to see something from you. That's why they followed you. And everybody's waiting for these big ostentatious like vanity metrics that mean nothing. I literally went on a rant about this on Instagram yesterday, where I specifically said, I know people in my city who have more dollars, who have more followers than dollars. It's so pathetic that people are focusing on these vanity metrics that mean nothing. So when you're going on and embarking on this journey in order to level up your Instagram following, or to become, somebody where business gravitates, to build your personal brand, whatever your distant outcome is, treat everybody, every number like it matters. If you've got one follower, that's one person that wants to see content from you. Treat it that way. And if you start to put out consistent, authentic content that people want to see, your following will innately grow over time.
No, yeah, I highly agree, because the numbers thing too. I mean, you see it so consistently, like you just said, and people, even with people like deleting follow people that they were following to get their follow, it's just it drives you crazy. You see it too. You know, they follow 20 people, but they have 5,000 followers. And it's just the way they use Instagram. It drives you crazy, man. So you're spot on. Just put out good stuff. Do it for your audience. Be consistent, and just promote you, document your journey, your business journey, and go from there. But with that being said, let's go into the next topic too. You say you use a creative approach to give clients a competitive advantage. Let's discuss this in more detail. So, I know marketing is huge. Let's go into the buyer and the seller side too. So what are you doing as far as your sellers to market properties, and then what are you doing for your buyers as far as getting them a competitive advantage in the marketplace as far as what they buy, purchase, so on?
Yeah, for sellers, the biggest thing is exposure,
Hmm.
right? I can show people through analytics that I can get their house in front of thousands of people more per day than other agents who aren't using and actively leveraging social media. I also have, specific lead generation, strategies that I like to use. So I don't just see these metrics, I actually convert them into something tangible, which is really important for sellers. So what sellers love to hear, and this is what I tell every single one of them because it's the truth, is that when you list with me, you can have the confidence that no matter where somebody's searching, they will find your house. And even if they're not searching, they will see your house. So that
Hmm.
way we're covering all of the bases on the exposure side of things, which in a market like ours, where it's a 5-year ongoing recession and only 30%, actually 27% of homes that get listed sell, they want to know that their home's getting in front of more people, especially the ones that aren't actively looking on social media. I've had a lot of people where my ads hit them at the right time in the right place, and they weren't working with a realtor, they weren't actively searching, but they decided to buy. On the buyer's side, I live by the quote, never split the difference. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, the house is 580,000, I'm going to offer 560 and we're going to meet at 570. I never split the difference. Because here's the thing, if I can save my buyers $1,500, that covers their legal fees. If I treat my buyers and sellers' money as if it's my own, a lot of people as real estate agents, because we're dealing with large sums, like to just throw numbers around like it's just toys,
Hmm.
right? Like it's just fictitious and it doesn't matter. But how would you treat $1,500? How would you treat $5,000? Could it take your family on another trip? I work for every single dollar for my clients. And that's why we get the best results for them, because they know that I'm not just going to take the easy route. If it causes friction, I'm causing friction. I want to get the best result, and I'm not afraid to have those upfront tough conversations in order to get them the best outcome.
Yeah, and right there, spot on. Like I do the same exact thing as far as working with buyers too. I mean, I feel out the other real estate agent out front. I ask it, but it's asking the right questions too. I sell a lot of empty lots, being in construction, people, building and so on. They have to purchase the land here first, then we build, just typically like everywhere else. But w- dealing with that, see, I know a lot of different things I can ask the other real estate agent, and tactics with negotiation, like is the dirt high enough, or is the seawall need to be replaced, or is there a certain requirement for building on that lot that's going to cost that homeowner more money during the building process. So I actually use that to my advantage in negotiating, and people just kind of like, I didn't know any of this stuff. So I mean, having that tactical advantage, like you said, and the knowledge is so important too. But on the seller's side, it's huge because I mean, obviously with your following on social media and then the exposure that you're creating, you're getting, and that's what people are starting, I hope, to be are beginning to understand, is that you're putting it in front of a lot more eyes than a newspaper ad, and you take that newspaper out of the local newspaper, and then you take your Facebook advertisement that's drawing eyes to it because you know how to advertise. You're putting it in front of thousands of eyes versus a few hundred, and then the amount of money that you spend on that newspaper ad, which is a joke to me, versus a Facebook ad, it's insane. And I think people are finally starting to realize this too, as customers, I should say, and as you promote yourself, that the modern way of advertising is the better way of advertising too. So
Definitely.
anyway, so keep moving here. You have also said trust can be defined as the belief and confidence in the integrity, reliability, and fairness of a person or organization, an essential human value that quantifies and defines our independence and relationships with others. This is a tough one. Explain this more, and how are you demonstrating this to your clients?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, trust is the foundation of a relationship. Trust turns into loyalty, and it's about doing the right thing. We hear this all the time. This is something I've been practicing and preaching for years, but we hear it on our Arte calls, is doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
If we think we can steer our clients away from a potentially bad deal, even though they want it, I do that. If I always tell them the right thing, whether even if they want to buy a multi-million-dollar property, if I don't think it's going to be the right fit for them down the listing to a buyer, and I wish I could just get paid on this, and it's not the right fit, I will tell them that. I've always been upfront with my clients. I got a call the other day, I think it was 2 days ago, from a past client who said, Mike, is this the right time to sell? I'm looking to sell. And I said, well, what are your goals? And he told me what he's looking for as an outcome. And I strictly told him, it's not the right time for you. You need to wait another 2-3 years. Of course, I could tell him, hey, yeah, it's a great time to sell. Let's go. I'll list it tomorrow. No, people trust me and they trust my results because I will always tell them the truth, whether it be good, bad, or ugly. And because they know that, they know they can always come back and know that they have faith in the answer I'm going to deliver. So that's why I built up some strong connections with my clients, is because they can trust me knowing that I'm not going to give them the bullshit answer of the market's so great, like let's go right now, it's the best time. I never do that for people.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, I always looking at you at a case-by-case individual section, and I analyze what you're looking to outcome, and I'll tell you straight up how it is. And I always promise people that I'll give them the right answer from the heart, not from the monetary transactional perspective. And that's where I built trust. And that's why people keep coming back. And that's why people refer me.
Mm-hmm. And no, I'm huge on that too. I'm just huge on telling the truth and being upfront. I mean, I passed on listings with people just because they're over, they just their pricing. I mean, I just didn't want to do it because I said, you're overpricing this listing. I don't want to spend my time. Your time's valuable. My time's valuable. I don't want to waste time. So I'm sorry. Good luck with it. And I've had them circle back around and then try and list with me the second time for a lower price, but it was still too high after I comped it out. And I told them the same exact thing. I'll see you in another 6 months when you want to list it where I want to list it, because I'm not going to spend my time, my marketing, and it's just the time factor of it. But I'm being upfront. I'm building that trust with them. They're going to be like, wow, this guy keeps turning down $1 million listing, and we keep giving it to this other realtor that just keeps taking it for the price we want it, and he's not selling it because it's overpriced. So, I mean, it's being honest up front, like you said, man. It's just huge too. It's so big. And that kind of goes into the next thing you talked about, maintaining your long-term relationships with customers. And I always ask this question because it's such a big thing, because not a lot, like we discussed, so many people are just about collecting the paycheck and moving on. What are you doing? How are you maintaining, your long-term relationships with your customers after the transaction's over with?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different things. The first thing, again, is social media. I find a lot of people follow me, so they're always a part of my journey, and I always follow them and interact with their content, so that we can always, maintain that without a lot of effort, because we're on our phones anyway. So I always like to add them on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and make sure I engage with them as time goes on. The other thing is we have a strategic email software that we use at our brokerage where we send out 2 monthly emails. So the first one is a creative monthly market update video talking about, how things are going in each community and quadrant, and then the top 3 things buyers, sellers, and investors need to know for each aspect of that. And then the third thing is events. Our brokerage is very heavy on doing fun events, whether it be photos with Santa, or we had like a fake money poker night and gambling night. We have, all kinds of events throughout the year that are just simply fun. It's not asking for anything. It's not, trying to pitch somebody something. It's just simply getting out and having fun with our clients. And I think if you can have fun with them, they're always going to bring friends, right? If they see that you're having a good time and you're doing something to give back to them, they're always going to come full circle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just, like you said, maintaining the relationship, actually doing stuff and doing events and inviting them to sit. Like for example, with me, we have a new model home opening. I'm going to invite all the past customers to this event, to have them see what we're doing, keeping up on the different types of designs that we're doing too, and maintaining that relationship. Christmas cards, same. I handwrite Christmas cards every year, break my hand doing it. It's a lot of cards and it's a lot of handwriting, and I've had customers too just say, I mean, that card is still hanging on my fridge from when you did it last year, because nobody ever takes that time to do it. And I write a lot on them. I shouldn't write as much, but it hurts after a while.
Exactly.
But I'm going to hit you with one that I've been asking a lot of people too. And this one's just kind of about you personally. I mean, you have built such an amazing brand and also business, your personal business and everything. And you continue to grow every day personally and in business too. So what lessons have you learned throughout your journey that we should all apply to our own business or lives that, can help us all grow?
I think the biggest one is find out more about yourself and share that with people. I find a lot of people are hiding who they truly are. I feel like a lot of people are, if they're not hiding it, they're afraid to share it. Or a lot of people have things about themselves that they just haven't confronted yet that they don't want to confront. I think there's a lot to be said about learning more about yourself and diving deep into self-development and learning who you truly want to be, what you want to stand for, and not doing what the masses are trying to do. And then take that and share it vulnerably on social media in a way that provides value to people. I think what people don't realize is if you're feeling a certain way, there's thousands of others that feel just that way, no matter how dark, no matter how unfortunate you're feeling, there's always people that can relate to it. Or if you feel passionate about something and you're excited about something, there's bound to be other people that are excited and passionate about that too. Learn more about yourself and share the realest version of yourself out there online on social media. Because yes, you look at the like factor. If you start sharing stuff that's a bit out of the orthodox from your normal post, it might not get as many likes at the start, but people are going to learn who you are on a deeper level, and you're going to have a lot more fun sharing it because it becomes effortless. When you're sharing yourself on the realest level, it becomes natural because you're just doing what you do on a daily basis. And more people are going to start to see your true personality shine and how much fun you're doing it, right? So I think the biggest piece of advice I can say is figure out who you want to be known as, and what you want people to say about you behind your back. If you take those principles and share content online that resonates and aligns with those 3, you're going to start to see a community and a tribe form of people that truly, deeply believe in you for you.
Yeah, that was one of the better answers to that question I've had. That's unbelievable. Great answer, Mike, right there for sure. That's awesome.
Thanks, brother.
And I always like to ask this question because I obviously at the beginning I ask about your past and everything. I want to ask about your future. So I want to know, what are your plans for the future? I've been asking this to everybody lately on my podcast because it's so important. We all have goals, dreams, ambitions too, and I want to hear about them. And I want you to kind of reflect on them too. So whether it's business or life, where will you see Mike Gerard in the future? Who will you be?
That's a great question. A lot of people don't understand that the reason why I'm working so hard right now is I'm doing this for my future family, kids, wife, all of that. I don't have a wife right now. I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. But when I get to that point, I'm doing this now because I'm working so hard, because if I fail, it only affects me. So in the future, man, ultimately I'm launching a new business in January, and that's surrounding sort of the content creation, the production and branding space for 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs as well as corporations, really helping instill culture and share people's mission and message. So going forward, there's going to be a lot of traveling, there's going to be a lot of speaking, there's going to be a lot of impact, some very high level collaborations with some people that you and I both know and have aspired to collaborate with. So ultimately, man, it's going to be me being the realest version of me. No more bullshit. No more photos that don't represent who I am. I've been there. I've done that. And I've become woke to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I understand who I am, what I want to be, you're going to start to see that reflect in my actions, in my businesses, in the way I speak, in the way I articulate messages. And I'm really excited to just double down on providing value and impacting the lives of those who not only follow me and are in my sphere now, but the ones that I'm going to meet along the way.
It's amazing, man. And like you just said too, it's you finally going all in on yourself and reflecting that and turning it and it's just life in general, whether it's business or you personally. Because I mean, we all have been there to where we were being something that we truly aren't. And then once you figure out, like you just said, who you are and you wake up, it's the sky's the limit too. And good for you for doing that, man. That's awesome. So final question I always have to ask this on the show, and this is what it's all about. What exactly do people need to look for when buying or selling a home, and why should they choose Mike Gerard as their realtor of choice?
Great question, man. So for selling, ultimately looking at for somebody that not only has experience in the area, but can demonstrate that they're going above and beyond. You need to look at somebody that understands how to leverage the modern tools and technology of today's society in order to get the most exposure and the most dollar for your house in the quickest amount of time. So marketing is a big one. There's 2 different realtors, buyer's realtor, seller's realtor, vastly different agents. And with the selling, you need to have somebody that's willing to spend money on your house and to properly photograph it, take professional photos, not them. Just because you have a DSLR doesn't mean you're a professional photographer. You need to work with somebody that hires professional photographers. You need to work with somebody that has a videographer, and you need to work with somebody that understands how to properly leverage social media marketing and get exposure on your house. With the buyer, you need to work with somebody that not only gets to know you on the deepest level in terms of understanding your current life, but also your future expected lifestyle. Somebody that wants to know you on the deepest level so that they can project that the house they help you find is not just going to be a great fit today, but it will be in 5 years as you grow into the lifestyle you're expecting to achieve. And somebody that understands the area. Somebody that's going to learn you on the deepest level further than a friend would, so that they can understand the importance that you're looking for in a property, whether it be amenities, cost, type, lifestyle, whatever you're looking for. You need to have somebody that's going to be your best friend times 10. When it comes down to why people might want to work with me, it's because I do both of those. So at the end of the day, man, I have to be real. I love learning people on a deeper level, and it also makes our job easier. If I can learn my clients inside and out, I can save them time and me time from showing them tens of properties that I know are not going to be a good fit for them. Similarly, on the seller side, if I can do my job and know that I'm getting the most exposure for them and give them weekly detailed updates, which I do every Monday for every single listing I have, I no longer have to deal with my clients asking me what the feedback is or asking me how things are going. They know I'm available, and they know I'm going to give them the feedback every single time. So when people work with me, they know they're going to get somebody that's going to go above and beyond every single time.
Awesome, man. This has been a great, Mike. I really appreciate you taking your time, because it's so much great information too. And we hit a lot of different topics that I haven't talked with prior realtors too, that I've been definitely wanting to talk about, and I personally learned a lot too from you too. So last thing too, where can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah, man. So the two, probably most obvious places and best places if you want to connect with me. Instagram is at Mike_Gerard. I answer all of my DMs. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. More than happy to help when I can. Or my YouTube channel. Simply just look up Mike Gerard. You'll see, over 200 videos of there helping realtors with anything from branding to prospecting, door knocking, social media, lead generation, whatever it is. I've got content there for you guys. So feel free to look me up, send me a message, and I'm always happy to help.
Mike, thank you again for taking the time, man. I really appreciate it and really appreciate you coming on. And guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.